Solway. Funny story. I just recorded this once and went back to go to edit it, and none of the audio showed up. So here we go again. Not too long ago, we read the story called Taberna, about a taberna in which Barbilus offered Quintus a shop for Clemens to own. Clemens is now a freedman. He needs to make some money and do his own thing. Regardless, when we were reading that story, we came across the following sentence: Barbilus, qui multa aedificia possediebat, mihi tabernum obtulit. Barbilus, who used to own many buildings, offered me a shop, which is how you translated it, which is correct. And that's good translation. That means that you are looking at the big picture and reading Latin as it should be read. However, if we start to nitpick at the sentence, we realize that something weird is happening. Let's particularly look at the relative clause, right? Who used to own many buildings, which is what it says. Multa aedificia, however, look at that ending. It ends with an A, and you translated that as many buildings. But I've never seen an A as a plural before. That's weird. I can't translate it as Barbilus, who used to own many a building, because, well, that doesn't make any sense. So you translated it correctly, but something weird is happening here. It doesn't look plural, even though it is. It must be something new. These little things have actually been with us since the very beginning. In all the way back in stage 1, we saw words that don't exactly fit into our neat little charts that we had been making. Words like forum and atrium and triclinium, cubiculum, aedificium, plaustrum, venum, etc., etc. We've seen words all the way back since stage 1 that in the nominative end with a um, which is not what a nominative should end in. We've seen accusatives end in um, but there are these weird things that end with um in the nominative, and I just quietly told you, we'll just put those aside, put them in your noun chart up here in the neuter column, and we'll talk about them later. A couple stages ago, when we started talking about grammatical gender, we acknowledged that there are 3 genders of nouns, not masculine, feminine, and neuter. And that was about as far as we got with that. We didn't ever go circle back to this strange thing up in the second declension nominative, but it's time to. Right. Neuter nouns exist in many declensions. There are no neuter nouns in the first declension, right? Recall that the first declension is the majority of the nouns in there are feminine. There are a smattering of a few masculine nouns, but there are no neuters, which is good. The second declension is mostly masculine and neuter, and there are a few feminines in there, but they're really rare, mostly trees, plants, so we'll probably never encounter them. There are a lot of neuters in the second declension. The third declension are all the genders. There are masculine, there are feminine, and yes, there are neuters. We will eventually learn the fourth declension very soon, actually, and there are 7 neuters there, so I don't even know if I'll bother showing you those. And there are none in the 5th, which again we'll learn soon enough. So we can see that the neuter, these little tricky little neuter things, are going to be a problem for us in the second and in the third declensions. So what exactly is up with them? Well, neuters, for the most part, will fit into our noun charts. They don't have completely different endings. They only have slightly different endings, things that just put them aside as quirks and oddities. The differences between the neuter gender and the masculine or feminine gender in the second and the third are so small we can actually codify them in a rule. The Neuter Rule goes as follows. The neuter nominative and accusative, singular, always look the same. So if it's forum in the nominative, it's forum in the accusative. We know the word mare in the third declension nominative, it's mare in the accusative. It's caput in the nominative, it's caput in the accusative. It's plaustrum in the nominative, it's plaustrum in the accusative. The nominative and accusative singulars always look the same. Part 2 of the neuter rule. Nominative and accusative plurals always end in the letter A. So forum, more than one forum, they are fora. More than one bacterium is a bacteria. More than one medium is media, are media. More than one datum are data. How about, let's think about third declension. So we had caput, more than one head are capita. Litus was the shore, more than one litus are littora. One sea is mare, more than one sea are maria. They end with A in the nominative and accusative. Maria, maria, capita, capita, littora, littora. That's neuter rule. Everything else is the same. Genitive is the same, dative is the same, ablative is the same, singular and plural. The only thing that the neuter rule touches are the nominative and the accusative, singular and plural. That's it. So knowing this, let's fill out a chart. Let's use the word forum. That's a good one. Forum, meaning, of course, forum. Nominative, forum. Genitive, fori. Dative, foro. Accusative, forum. Ablative, foro. There it is. That's the neuter second declension singular. Let's do the plural. Recall what the neuter rule in the plural is. Nominative, fora. Genitive, fororum. Dative, foris. Accusative, fora, again, because the neuter rule. Ablative, foris. Let's try a third declension. We'll do the head. Caput. Caput, capitis. Neuter head. Nominative, caput. Genitive, capitis. Dative, capiti. Accusative, caput. First part of the neuter rule says that the nominative and accusative look the same. And the ablative, capita. Do the plural. Nominative, capita. Genitive, capitum. Dative, capitibus. Accusative, capita, because the neuter rule says they both end in A. And ablative, capitibus. That's it. As you can see, the chart, for the most part, is what we expect from looking at the second and third declension. The only thing that is ever touched by the neuter is the nominative and accusative, singular and plural. But wait, if they look the same, how will we ever be able to figure out which is which? The nominative or the accusative? I don't know anymore. Well, how did you know before? How did you know the difference between a third declension nominative and accusative plural for a normal noun? They look the same. How did you know the difference between the dative and the ablative of the second declension singular? Those look the same. Well, of course, your answer is the same as your answer almost always is when I ask questions like this. Context. Context is king. It all comes down to context. Let's take a look at these examples. Plaustrum viam claudebat. The wagon, it was blocking the road. Plaustrum. Well, it looks like it could be accusative, but we already have another accusative, viam, and am has to be accusative. There's nothing else it can be. And and roads don't block things. Roads get blocked. So the wagon here, plaustrum, must be the nominative. The wagon was blocking the road. Let's try it. Plaustra viam claudebant. Well, the wagons were blocking the road. All I've done is I've changed from one wagon to many wagons. Plaustrum to plaustra. They're still the subject, and so they're still nominative. Let's try them in the accusative. Varica plaustrum e movit. Varica moved the wagon. Right, so this time, Varica is the subject. He happens to be a first declension subject, nominative, and so he is the one moving the wagon. The wagon is the one being moved. It's got to be accusative. Even though it looks the same as a nominative, here it's being used as an object. Varica plaustra e movit. Varica moved the wagons. This one looks intimidating because both Varica and plaustra both end in A. But if we remember our neuter rule, and if we already know, or remember what we already know about Varica, is that he's a first declension, then plaustra has to be an object, a direct object, and it can't be anything else. couple more sentences to leave you thinking with. Salvius horea nova inspexit. Cogidubnis pompum ad litus duxit. Well, I know that the word ad, odd, has to have an accusative after it. Isn't it strange that litus doesn't look like an accusative? Is it a typo? One more. Animalia hospites teruerunt. Who's frightening whom in this one? That last one is actually kind of funny because it could honestly be either. The first word could be the nominative, the second word could be the accusative. That's as is normal Latin word order. However, we could flip them. Animalia actually could be the accusative here. Hospites could be the nominative. There's nothing stopping it from being that other than if we knew more of the story. But it is what it is. That's why Latin is so much fun. Love it.